The opinions and views expressed by individuals during this broadcast are their own and may not be the opinions of this network, their group, or other organization they may be involved with.
I'm looking at myself, reflections of my mind. It's just the kind of day to leave myself behind. So gently swaying through the fairyland of love. If you'll just come with me, you'll see the beauty of Tuesday evening news. Tuesday evening news.
Hello! Welcome everyone, and welcome to the Psychedelic Reporters for this Tuesday episode 109, May 14th, 2024, here on the NOK Network, the video news podcast focused on psychedelic medicine being reported in mainstream media. Shout out to the guys in Dead Ringer from Kirkland Lake, Ontario for the awesome intro track, originally recorded by the Booty Blues with some customized changes for our show. I am joined by my amazing joint host, Tarra Simpson, along with the one and only Bufo of Various, Ribbit, who has chosen all of our stories for us. Hello, Tarra.
Well, hello, Hobbies, and hello, everyone. Great to be back. Another fantastic week I hope you've all had. I'd like to take a minute to introduce Bufo. He's our Sonoran Desert Toad, or Colorado Mud Toad. Did you know he emits DMT from his skin? And while park rangers would like to remind everyone, please don't lick that toad.
Ah, man, toads are good. I like toads.
Yeah. Ribbit. Absolutely.
If I had a toad like that here, I safely would probably try to safely lick it. I am not going to lie. We did here like this.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
So I will be a toad licker. But it's the world of psychedelics, yes. And as we learn that psychedelics is helpful in healing and stuff like that, us puppets are going to start to want to open up that door and feel it. And this first article that starts us off here is first we looked at medical marijuana, and now we're at the psychedelic world. And this cannabis company wins therapeutic psilocybin license in Oregon, written by Graham Abbott, and this is a ganjapreneur.
Yeah. So very interesting. The publicly traded and internationally licensed cannabis company, Kea Holdings Inc., announced this week that it's received a license to administer therapeutic psilocybin products in Oregon. So Kea Holdings Inc., a publicly traded and self-described mind care company that holds cannabis licenses in Oregon and Greece, announced this week that it's received a license to administer psilocybin products in Oregon. Oregon is currently the only state with a program covering the therapeutic use of psilocybin, the naturally occurring psychedelic found in hallucinogenic mushrooms. The FDA has previously given certain formulations of psilocybin the breakthrough therapy designation as it's studied for safety and efficacy as a depression treatment. Kay said in a press release that it's planning to open a psychedelic treatment center, the Sacred Mushroom, within 30 days of receiving the license. The introduction of legal psilocybin treatments in Oregon marks the beginning of perhaps the most disruptive force in the mental health sector, transforming treatment protocol and redirecting resources, KCEO Craig Frank said in the press release. Our distinctive guest experience model and environment offered by the size and design of the facility and the dedication of our staff are designed to make the sacred mushroom the premier choice for anyone turning to psychedelics for relief or transformation. For these reasons, I believe K is well positioned to become a leader in the delivery of care of psychedelics, Frank said in a statement. Wow.
Wow, guests at the Sacred Mushroom, located on the top floor of the historic Falcon Building in downtown Portland, will have multiple options for their supervised psychedelic experience, including comfortable furniture and spaces, optional private rooms, and an indoor garden, activities, including yoga, journaling, and listening stations, all driven by the company's Room to Roam philosophy. Oregon votes the therapeutic use of psilocybin in 2020. The state issued the program's first license last May. A recent study by UK researchers found that the psilocybin shows promise in effective treatment for depression. Oh man, dude, that's actually a really kick-ass article. I love it. It's so interesting. It opens up all these now that we're gonna have safe places to sit in. They're just opening up a whole another realm, learning all these different.
Yeah, and we're seeing that in many places, even here in Canada. Out in Alberta, there's a couple that have opened, as we've reported on in the past, where they're helping patients navigate psychedelic therapy. So very cool. It's happening in Oregon.
It is. My computer took a shit. Here it is. Bringing up this next article is we talked about Bufos earlier, and this is some new information that they got. Let me pull up all these ads okay, and this is brought to us from the SmithsonianMagazine.com, and this is a modified psychedelic toad toxin reduces signs of depression and anxiety in mice. Studies suggest Colorado River toad produces a psychoactive toxin that some have claimed has medical benefits. The new research suggests these benefits could be achieved without hallucinations. Christian Thorsberg.
Interesting. The Colorado River toad, a species native to Arizona's Sonoran Desert toad and parts of southwest Mexico, have gained fame for its production of a toxin with psychoactive properties, and some say medicinal benefits. Now, new research from Mount Sinai Hospital and Columbia University has put that toxin to test. In a study published Wednesday in the Journal of Nature, scientists found that a modified analog of the toad's secretions reduced symptoms of depression and anxiety in mice. We became intrigued by the numerous reports of powerful, unique, life-changing experiences associated with its ritualistic or experimental clinical use, which made us wonder about the therapeutic properties of the underlying mechanism. David Lakry, a neuropharmacologist at Columbia University and co-author of the study, tells Gizmodu Ed Kara. Wow, and there's some toads. Ribbit.
Wow, is it the ones you lick?
I think so.
Scientists modified the toad's secreted toxin in an attempt to reduce its hallucinogenic effects while retaining its potential antidepressant and anti-anxiety offerings. Oh, so when threatened or startled, the Colorado toad, also called the Sahara desert toad, excludes 5-MeO-DMT, a hallucinogenic compound that discourages predators from glands in its skin. Similar in its structure to psilocybin, the psychedelic component of magic mushrooms, the toxin, which people ingest either by licking the toads directly or by extracting and smoking it. It has been said to have dissociative effects and benefits as an antidepressant and an anti-anxiety agent. Most well-known psychedelic molecules bind to serotonin receptors in brain called 5-HT2A, which leads to the hallucinations typical of psychedelic experiences. Oh, wow. But go ahead. You read that.
Wow. By slightly modifying the 5-MeO-DMT toad toxin compound, the researchers created another compound called 4F5-MeO-PR or PYRT. This new molecule interacts primarily with similar yet lesser studied serotonin receptors called 5-HT1A, a pathway that appears to offer the same antidepressant and anti-anxiety effects without hallucinogenic trips. Testing this new compound in mice, the team observed how their modified toxin did not produce the head-twitching effects attributed to the hallucinogenic properties of the toad toxin. They gave the newly created molecule to stressed mice, and the animals subsequently spent more time with their peers and drank more sugary water, evidence of lowered anxiety and depression levels. It's our hope that down the line, someone could use these findings of our study to help design novel antidepressants for humans. But that's certainly a long way out. Audrey Warren, a biochemist at Mount Sinai Hospital and co-author of the study, says to New Science, Corinne Wetzel.
Oh, that's a beautiful frog.
Ribbit.
I want to make one now as a puppet, but Warren adds that the research is still in its infancy, and ingesting the toad's toxin comes with significant risks, including side effects of vomiting, seizures, anxiety, and death. And experts have cautioned that the toxin's popularity is threatening the health of the toad in the wild. In California, the species is to be locally extinct, while in New Mexico, the toad is listed as threatened. There's a perception of abundance, but when you begin to remove large numbers of a species, their numbers are going to collapse like a house of cards at some point. Robert Villa, the president of Tucson Herpetological Society, told the New York Times' Simon Romero in 2022. Psychedelics are gaining popularity for potential medical uses. Researchers and legislatures alike have recently looked at MDMA, psilocybin, and the lesser-known ibogaine for their potential to treat conditions such as PTSD, anxiety, and depression. And as this intersection continues to be explored, the new paper raising the possibility that much medical benefits could be achieved without hallucinations.
Wow. The research is a really nice example of how structural biology can shed light on medicinal chemistry results. David E. Olson, the director of the University of California Davis Institute for Psychedelics and Neurotherapeutics, who was not involved in the study, but tells Chemical and Engineering News, Bethany Halford.
Huh. Wow.
And that's it.
That's it.
Okay. So it ends there, folks.
So, the toad, dude. It's I like it. I don't know. I think I would offer to be the mouse. I'm not a testing on mouse kind of guy.
No, I'm not really a test on mouse kind of girl either, but I do know someone who recently consumed DMT. She didn't lick the toad, but she definitely didn't overdose and die either. So that article's a little bit out there as far as, that it can cause these things. I think in a safe and supervised, controlled environment, DMT can be consumed by a patient with relatively low risk if you have the right facilitator and source.
Right. And you know what you're doing. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Source.
Yeah.
So our next one, speaking on psychedelics, this is actually a really kick-ass one, and this is from the Daily Beast, and this is Lululemon Scion J.J. Wilson plots to make psychedelic drugs the new yoga, and this is from Matha Busby.
I can't get it up on my phone, so I'll have to read it from the screen. Yeah, it's one of those like best things in life are free. Keep registering to keep reading kind of thing.
All I did was click off of it with my phone.
Yeah, I can't get it to go away. I don't know why. It's being done.
Okay.
Yeah. So Vancouver, many people switched out alcohol for psychedelic edibles during the pandemic, but J.J. Wilson, the eldest son of multi-billionaire Lululemon founder Chip Wilson, went one step further. Not satisfied with simply feeling amazing and not being hungover, he decided to become one of the world's first psychedelic tycoons. In 2021, J.J. Wilson, Saya of the yoga apparel empire, co-founder and pharma-grade psychedelics manufacturer, which he named Optimi Health, he stumped up startup costs of more than $2 million, a figure matched by his fellow co-founders, with more than $10 million coming from financing rounds. The company is today on the brink of receivership and top-tier Health Canada license to purvey natural-grown psilocybin and lab-made MDMA to legal medicinal markets around the world. I'm on a 30-day mushroom microdose protocol right now, Wilson told the Daily Beast at a bistro in his home city of Vancouver, Canada. Recreational therapeutic treatment can help make good people great. A brave new world is coming, he predicts, in which most people will microdose psychedelics to banish daily scruples, enhance focus, and boost well-being. After half a century war on psychedelic drugs, this seems almost fantastical, but in this near future, talking mild, even sub-perceptual daily doses of psychedelics could be as normal as a multivitamin, Wilson expects. These psychedelic capsules, which will in many cases be blended with non-psychoactive mushrooms like reishi and lion's mane, also called aptogens, will help stave off neurodegenerative decline, may replace antidepressant drugs. Some registered psychiatrists are already rumored to be prescribing psilocybin microdosing under the table. Interesting.
Psychedelics are the next yoga, Wilson says, noting that the ancient Indian spiritual practice was the first mainstream form of meditation to encourage Westerners to take a break from a smartphone-fueled modern life, which has helped spawn a mental health crisis. He believes the psychedelics will take that up a notch and then some. It's all a part of people wanting to optimize that up a notch and then optimize their health, their life, and how they operate to the best version of themselves, Wilson says, as he sips a lemon and ginger tea. He said he had 4 coffees earlier, as well as 250 milligrams of psilocybin. Wow, look at that cool little
That's
facility.
neat. Yeah. There they are being all sterile and everything. Wilson's several guided psilocybin trips helped him, among other things, to work on his relationships and let go of holding things against his parents, business partners, and others. He has also smoked what is perhaps the strongest psychedelic, 5-MeO DMT, though he says he prefers ketamine, a psychedelic therapeutic. All this tripping overseen by shamans and sitters has allowed me to unlock something in the blockage center of my brain, he says. The experiences have created openings for me to get out of my own way. The result is that everyone is much happier. His father, Chip Wilson, is right behind him, an advisor to Optimi. He wrote on his social media recently that the company is well placed to commercially globalize psychedelics on a scale that's never been seen before. After attending the opening of Optimi headquarters in sleepy mountain town of Princeton, some 3 hours from Vancouver last year, my family is supportive of my business endeavors, adds Wilson. His tricep bulging from underneath his R shirt. We work together on many different projects.
Wow.
Wilson. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Okay, Wilson. Wilson, an admirable, firm handshake kind of bro, is dressed as if he could have just come out of a high-octane functional exercise class taking place in the adjoining gym studio, incidentally co-owned by the family of his girlfriend, who comes over to say hello. He speaks like an entrepreneur, all phases and stock prices, but there is also a boyish enthusiasm underpinning an ambition to emulate his father, which is bare for the world to see. According to Optimi promotional material, he bears the weight of his family's legacy. Very cool.
The man described to me by one Vancouverite as the city's most eligible bachelor due to his wealth did not attend the Daily Beast's recent visit to the company's facility on the outskirts of Princeton, which holds one of the largest legal pharma-grade mushroom farms in the world. More than 200 kg, which is 440 pounds for us U.S. people, of psychedelic mushrooms and 1,000 doses of pure MDMA were stored in the immaculately sterile lab that day. Co-founder Dane Stevens, a fellow entrepreneur and heir to a jewelry fortune, led the tour. Wearing a mushroom lover hoodie and telling of his love for psychedelic fungi, we can hold up to Canadian $50 million worth of mushrooms and MDMA on site at any time. We need a lot of mushrooms biomass to make the standardized extract. It could be any other science laboratory if it wasn't for his high-tech mushroom growing room to set up the mimic climates of places like Costa Rica and the Oregon coastline. It's no wonder Optimi has staked some $25 million on all of this technology. As it stands, the legal psychedelics market is expected to generate almost $11 billion by 2027. Of all of the legal tripping naturally will require industrial amounts of psychedelics in life and high pharmaceutical standards, but the infrastructure to service this mind-bending shift in medicine is only just emerging. The Optimi Lab is one of the several popping up across the world to cater for the growing demand as reforms enable greater access.
The U.S. could approve MDMA-assisted therapy for post-traumatic stress disorder in a matter of months. Australia has already green-lighted ecstasy and psilocybin for PTSD and depression under narrowing conditions, and the number of clinical trials underway is at record levels. Already, Optimi is providing MDMA and psilocybin for Canada's limited use access program, supplying Israel with MDMA for an addiction study and shipping psilocybin to a research institute in New Zealand. A steady stream of peer-reviewed science has helped propel psychedelics from public enemy to potential salve for the dual mental health and addiction crisis. But serious questions remain around future safeguards for people who might be prescribed microdose pills containing psilocybin or MDMA, as well as safe scalability of intense psychedelic therapy courses. Some people have already been rushed to hospital after taking psychedelics. Others left profoundly destabilized. However, studies increasingly show that psychedelics used properly can address traumas and ease depression. Ooh, mushies. Mushies.
Right, those look good, man.
Yeah. We are bullish on what's going to happen here for the business, says Wilson. We are confident that the facilities are the best in the world, ready to deliver world-class medicines. It's a win-win all around, he adds. We're making products that are going to help people. That's pretty rad. There's plenty of other psychedelic startups specializing in everything from creating new drugs, devising treatment and training plans, and opening mushroom and ketamine clinics where they can legally do so. Optimi is one of approximately 50 publicly listed such companies, but few others aim to produce psychedelics on the industrial scale. It's unclear that Vancouverites will make the news that the Wilson family could hit the jackpot with psychedelics. Chip, whose 60 million beachfront property, oh my God, is in the city's most expensive, if not universally popular, is not a universally popular figure. A decade ago, a yoga gear magnate was forced to resign as the company's chair amid furor after he said one of the brand's see-through leggings that some women's bodies just actually don't work for it. Earlier this year, he was criticized for poo-hooing the diversity and inclusion efforts of Lululemon, in which he still holds an 8% stake.
Huh. Oh, but if his family's philanthropy may not be received the attention it deserves, in 2021, Chip was instrumental in returning 2 islands off Vancouver, as well as critical parts of another to public ownership at a cost of more than $3 million. The next year, he donated $74 million to British Columbia's Provincial Parks Foundation to buy up and protect forests. In November, he donated the same figure, which is Canadian $100 million, to help find a cure for a rare muscular disease that he lives with. Conversely, it seems that conditions like PTSD and depression now have potentially effective treatments. Soon, optimized medicine could be helping thousands of people. Optimized Chief Science Officer Dr. Peterson Chase says there have been moments where he was marveled at having created a couple thousand doses worth of MDMA and felt like Walter White, the methamphetamine creating drug baron from TV series Breaking Bad. We're not here to be the big bad pharma company, he says. I'm reading a recipe that a chemist knows how to follow. Oh, wow. World of optimized event-grade activities that has made it down to the local town of cop mining hub. Chase recalls telling staff at the local pet store that he works at Optimi. They said, oh, the mushroom place right up the hill next to the weed place. The psychedelic lab is housed next to a cannabis farm owned by the 2 of the other Optimi executives. The intensity of the work has meant that Optimi's head of mycology and cultivation, Scott Molitor, has not left the rural neighborhood in more than a year after relocating to Princeton with his wife and 2 children. I was instructed to fill this vault, he says, standing next to his stacks of dozens of boxes, all brimming with vacuum bags of mushrooms. He is mindful he is the cutting edge and media interest grows. Marshall seems camera shy despite fastidiously updating his Instagram page with mind-boggling mushroom growths. I just want to gain professional achievements at my own rate without looking like I'm trying to be a Hollywood movie star. Has avoided talking up the company much until now, with the company well positioned as regulators may soon open the floodgates. I very much don't talk about it until it's ready. We've been working really hard for a number of years, getting everything ready for this moment now. With the psychedelics gearing up for the gold rush movement, the industry is set for a multi-billion-dollar trip. So buckle up, because it's about to get truly well trippy.
I love that. I love that.
Oh man, that was actually a pretty kick-ass article.
Absolutely, that's one smart guy, man. Canadian at that. Very cool.
Well, and just the cost of the money that he was talking about, and how much and how they're preparing and getting ready. And I didn't know that like these companies were legal to operate in the background to get ready like that.
No, I had no idea either. But I mean, I think that was happening even in the cannabis movement, where people were capitalizing in the background somehow before it was even known that it was happening, right? So the same with this, very cool. But again, to get into doing this on a large scale, you have to have capital. And I mean, obviously with those kind of connections, you're going to pull it off, right?
Oh yeah. And speaking about pulling it off, it is medication time.
Absolutely. It is time to pay some bills. So stay tuned for a word from some of our sponsors, and we'll be back with stories Bufo has chosen making mainstream media news.
We will be back in 4 minutes and 17 seconds here on the Psychedelic Reporters on NOK Network.
Psychedelic Tuesdays on NOK Network. Tune in at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for Psychedelic Reporters. Bufo Alvarius is scouring the news wires for stories being reported in the mainstream media on the psychedelic front and passing them on to Hobbies, Puppets, and Tarra Simpson so they can bring them to you, our listeners, in this 60-minute video news podcast. Tuesday evening news. Join us for Tuesday evening news each week at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for all your news and information from the world of psychedelic medicine. Follow and subscribe to NOK Network on our webpage, social media, and streaming sites, including YouTube and Rumble.
Peace, news, and views on NOK Network. Patients everywhere advocating cannabis evolution with Kim Cooper and Sir Steve O. Joint hosts interview people in the grassroots and corporate cannabis space across North America and beyond. Sit down with patients, entrepreneurs, lawyers, doctors, and others share their journey with this medicinal plant. So join us for Peace, News, and Views. Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, where all consumption is medicinal consumption on NOKnetwork.com. Follow and subscribe to NOK Network on social media and streaming sites, including Facebook, YouTube, and Rumble.
put it away for 30 minutes a day on IWK. The IWK 710 Daily Sesh is a virtual gathering where consumers meet up or a toke and some laughs at 7 p.m. Eastern nightly. Originally aired on Info with Kim's social media page, the IWK 710 Daily Sesh is now also podcasted on NOK Network. Rotating joint hosts bring you a variety of content during this 30-minute virtual smoke sesh. Take a break from the stresses in life and put it away for 30 minutes a day on IWK. Podcasted nightly at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on NOK Network.
Hey, dudes and dudettes. Enjoy the show, man.
Hey, and we are back from our medication session live here on Psychedelic Reporters on NOK Network.
We have another set of stories coming at you from the realm of psychedelic medicine. So let's get at it. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, this next article is brought to us from Travel Weekly. Out of all the articles that Bufos has chosen, this is one of my, this is one of my most favorite one. All right, this is called from Travel Weekly. .com, and this is by Arnie Weissman, and I take psilocybin with Ricky Williams. So next door to the state penitentiary in Salem, Oregon, just down the street from the Graveyard Bars, is the Psilocybin Center, one of 24 establishments that have been licensed to offer a legal or regulated psychedelic experience in the state. Wow, this is going to be a good one.
Absolutely. Travel Weekly first wrote about the intersection of magic mushrooms and the travel industry 3 years ago. And I have received a few emails since with psychedelic tourism in the subject line. One that I received in late March had a hook and appeal to me. My guide for psychedelic journey would be former NFL running back Ricky Williams. It's not that I'm a big football fanboy, but Williams has always struck me as an unusual pro. He is a Heisman Trophy winner whose career most often met expectations on the field, but who also had been repeatedly suspended for failing drug tests that detected cannabis usage. He was mostly unapologetic. He advocated for what he saw as the medicinal benefits of marijuana and wondered why, for instance, trainers could pass out Valium and Ambien freely, but the league wouldn't allow cannabis, which he felt relieved his aches and pains better. He retired at age 34 in 2012. He has since touted not only cannabis use for medicinal use, but also psilocybin mushrooms, which were legalized by referendum in Oregon in 2020. Although Oregon was the first state to legalize it, and Colorado joined shortly thereafter. Its legal use has been preceded in several U.S. municipalities and Washington.
Wow. I am among the legion who have experimented with psychedelics in college, and while the promotions I've seen recently talk about tripping on magic mushrooms as a spiritual journey or mental health therapy, I have never approached taking psychedelics from New Age or self-help's perspective. Trying them did, however, convince me that our brains can, to use a computer metaphor, play host to more than one operating system. Consciousness, I came to believe, was much more malleable than I had imagined, and insights I had in psychedelics-induced consciousness seemed to hold up pretty well post-trip. Wow, this is cool. Psilocybin Center now accepting clients. The night before my session with Williams, I spoke with Sammy Cahook, Williams' close friend and owner of the Psilocybin Service Center. He was asked for my birth data, the date, the time, and place I was born for Williams to chart. I gave it to him, but hoped that Williams' approach to astrology would be more meaningful than what I'd seen in the newspaper horoscopes. The center is behind the Halls of Strains, a legal cannabis dispensary owned by Cahook and his wife. Among its wares are those labeled with Williams Heisman brand, a play on Trophy Williams won in 1998. The center itself was bigger than I had expected and included a room for groups as large as 35 participants. The walls of the smaller room that we would be in were like with framed op art posters and had a sofa, a recliner, and a chair for Cahook, who was certified to facilitate our session. Oh, wow.
Wow. Prior to arrival, I had, per Oregon state requirements, received a client's Bill of Rights and had to initial a consent form 30 times alongside sentences that all began with, "I understand that." Before I put my pen down, I came to understand that, among other things, psilocybin had not been approved by the FDA, and that some people had found it to be challenging or uncomfortable, and that my facilitator may take short restroom breaks. Upon arrival, there were more than 13 more forms to sign, most consenting to various disclosures, but also, for instance, asking whether I consented in advance to being hugged or possibly having people place their hands on my hands, feet, or shoulders. Williams and I met and were each given a sealed portion of 1 gram of granulated mushroom powder that was blended. Cahook said to promote creativity and euphoria, we were to open it and mix it with a single serving of Mott's applesauce. I asked why I had been asked whether I was allergic to applesauce, and consumed it. It tasted exactly like unadulterated applesauce. We sat on the sofa. Cahook was in a chair on the other side of the room. He wasn't there to facilitate conversation, but to be on hand to observe and act as a sober assistant should we need something. I began asking Williams about his interest in astrology and what he might have learned from my chart. His explanation was detailed, involving various planets and their influence. It went well beyond a newspaper horoscope. I asked whether he had saw in his own chart was most a reflection of what he already knew about himself. He said, no, astrology doesn't tell you who you are. It just puts the pieces on the board. By the end of that discussion, I had gone from being cynical to fully respecting Williams' point of view. His use of astrology was integrated into greater worldviews, which we would delve into as this session went on. About 20 minutes in, I began having difficulty concentrating on the conversation. Hallucinations had kicked in and everything was in motion. The walls, the rug, the ceiling, and especially the blank black chalkboard that had taken on three dimensions. As interesting as it all might sound, I also had become very nauseous, overwhelmingly so. I had skipped lunch, which I began to suspect was a mistake. Cahook asked if I wanted to move to the recliner, which I did, but leaning back didn't help. He asked if the drop ceiling lights were too bright. Williams and I answered yes together. He turned them off, but I found the total darkness worse. He brought in a small machine that cast moving stars and galaxies on the ceiling. It didn't help. Why was I doing this? I asked myself. The day before, I had been in Seattle being interviewed for an upcoming Netflix documentary on last year's implosion of the Titan submersible. I had been scheduled to dive in the sub a month before the tragedy. Since the implosion, I've been wondering whether I shouldn't be so quick to say yes to activities on the fringe. This is so unpleasant, I thought. I looked at Williams, and he began sitting cross-legged on the couch like Buddha.
But when then I started to feel better and moved back to the couch, Williams, who had not said a word while I was feeling the nausea, said that he too had felt nauseous and that the first thing that happens when the mushrooms, which he called medicine, take effect is that he feels his old football injuries start to hurt. For the next hour and 20 minutes, Williams and I had long and wonderful discussion about everything: the universe, life, religion, work, teamwork, relationships. Williams is very calm and thoughtful and has a cohesive view of all of these things. We didn't always see the same way, but many of his observations rang not only true but profound. Well, he said that his personal goal with this session is always to get to know himself better. He is also a great guide. And psilocybin, I concluded, is a relationship accelerant. We bonded. Ours was the first session in the center has offered and was in some way to the equivalent to a shakedown cruise for a new ship. We gave feedback to Hook afterwards. Williams and I agreed that the up part posters didn't do a thing for us, and they could be moved out to the hall, but the mesmerizing black chalkboard definitely could stay. The lighting, we agreed, needed to be muted. Williams will be at the Psilocybin Service Center 1 weekend a month as a guide for group sessions and will come more frequently if demand rises. While the experience was pitched to me as psychedelic tourism, for now the sessions are offered as a standalone experience. Williams and Cahook are interested in packaging it with additional experiences to make it a true tourism package. The cost for participating in a group of is $150.
That's it. That's not bad.
The private sessions range from $800 to $2,005, determined by dosage and duration. Sessions can last 1 to 6 hours, and travel advisors will receive 10% commission on bookings. Would I do it again? I would. Nausea was unpleasant, but seasickness has never deterred me from getting back on the ship. In both cases, the reward is worth the cost. Oh, wow.
That's cool, eh?
Wow, man. See, I didn't think it was that expensive to trip with someone that's not tripping with you and to provide you a good experience. Us puppets are in the wrong business. I mean, wouldn't it be kick-ass if down here in the boot state we got backed by the legal people and we were able to throw a retreat to get high with puppets as we facilitate as you get fried out of your gourd for medicinal reasons.
Wouldn't that be something, man? That would be absolutely wild. I mean, it'd definitely be laughing for sure, I think. I don't know. If we were puppets, then in which case I wouldn't recommend it.
So as the world starts to get legal, this article is brought from Audacity.com. And this is FDA could approve MDMA therapy for PTSD treatment. And this is by Joe Hiddy.
Yeah, so good article. As a means to help those with post-traumatic stress disorder, a Food and Drug Administration panel of independent advisors will discuss whether or not MDMA-assisted therapy should be approved for a recommended treatment. Lykos Therapeutics shared the news on Monday, noting that this will be the first FDA panel outside experts to review a potential new post-traumatic stress disorder treatment in the last 25 years. More than that, this will be the first time that the FDA considers approving a psychedelic drug as a form of treatment. This will be the first MDMA-assisted therapy and psychedelic-assisted therapy to be reviewed by the Psychopharmacological Drugs Advisory Committee, a significant milestone in the field of psychedelic medicine, resulting from decades of clinical research and advocacy. Amy Emerson, Chief Executive executive officer of Lykos Therapeutics, shared in a statement. Studies have shown that the symptoms of post-traumatic stress disorder, which are caused in patients who have gone through stressful events, can be tamed through psychoactive ingredients found in cannabis, LSD, and magic mushrooms. Now, Lykos Therapeutics is using a large... Where'd it go? Fuck me. Is using 2 large studies it's conducted on the party drug MDMA, also known as ecstasy or Molly, to show the benefits it could have on those with post-traumatic stress disorder. The drug is intended to be used in combination with psychological intervention. This would include the patient also going through psychotherapy and other supportive services that a qualified healthcare provider can provide. Currently, there has not been a psychedelic-based therapy approved in the United States, but companies are continuing to research whether or not medications could be used to cure a range of mental health disorders. Very cool.
That is really cool. Oh,
yeah.
Man, that's awesome. That actually, this whole week of reports was great, man. I don't know what to say except for, dude, what a great freaking articles, from licking toads to see. I think that one's going to pop up a little more throughout the weeks as other agencies have different views on it, and some of it's going to be a little more like proactive licking. Right,
absolutely.
But thank you for joining us here on Psychedelic Reporters and NOK Network, and for tuning in to our video podcast on NOK Network's Rumble and YouTube pages, as well as other social media sites.
We hope you've enjoyed your update on mainstream coverage of psychedelic medicine advancements from around the globe.
Many thanks to our sponsors and to my joint host, Tarra Simpson, and to Alvarius Bufo Alvarius for choosing the stories, and to you, our listeners, for joining each week of Psychedelic Tuesday. Let's hear from Dead Ringer again and from Kirkland Lake on our way out. Bye.
Great week, everyone.
Looking at myself, reflections of my mind. It's just the kind of day to leave myself behind. So gently swaying through the fairyland of love. If you'll just come with me, you'll see the beauty of